Alrighty, it seems clear now that the tech bloodbath is in full swing. Hewlett-Packard, commonly known as HP, announced today that they will be laying off 4,000 to 6,000 workers over the next 3 years. This comes on the heels of the other tech giants, which HP is far from a tech giant these days, but the other tech giants, Amazon and Facebook, or I'm sorry, Meta, and of course Twitter, announcing that they are laying off tens of thousands of employees. I think that this is a direct result of the Fed rate hikes. I have said, as many others have for many years, that the big tech is the epicenter of this current Fed bubble. We had a dot-com bubble back in 2000, then we had a housing bubble in the mid-2000s, and over the past few years, we've had a big tech bubble. That's why everybody said, well, just buy the FANG stocks. That's why Cathie Wood and ARK did so well, because she said, you know what, I'm just going to buy all the momentum stocks and put them in an ETF, and then I will have the highest returns of any ETF on the market, and people will think I'm a genius. And that's what happened for a little while until Cathie Wood got her ass handed to her because the big tech bubble has been, the air's been coming out of it for quite some time, and she continues to double down. In fact, just today, I saw a little snippet from Zero Hedge. I don't follow what she says anymore, but I happened to see a comment from her saying, "Oh, Bitcoin's going to be at 1 million by 2030." It's like, just seeing that makes me want to short Bitcoin because, God, if Cathie Wood thinks it's going to hit 1 million, it's going to be worth about 10 cents because that's all she buys into her bubbles. And we are going to see this start impacting the real economy. Not just because of all these tech workers losing their jobs, that's going to have a big impact probably on California real estate and San Francisco real estate. San Francisco already has a pretty high homeless rate, but if you have all these tech workers being laid off, where are they going to live? How are they going to keep paying their, $5,000 a month in rent, to rent a room in San Francisco, let alone an entire house? It's sad talking about San Francisco in particular. I never saw San Francisco when it was great. I always heard it was such a beautiful city, one of the nicest places in all of America. And this is from, including right wingers. I have a very partisan Republican relative who has traveled to San Francisco on business and has always had nothing but positive things to say about it. Of course, they're old and retired now, haven't been there in well over a decade, probably 15, maybe 20 years. But even though it was a left-wing place, it was still appreciated for being a beautiful city with nice architecture, and safe and prosperous and whatnot. And all of that has just slowly and then suddenly been flushed down the tubes. I think about all the very, the happy, depictions of San Francisco I've seen in media over my lifetime. You have Bullitt back in the 1960s, timeless, timeless film. We love Steve McQueen. Of course, from my childhood, remember very distinctly City Escape from Sonic Adventure 2 that was based on San Francisco. You had Full House. The entire the premise of Full House that show could never be made today. I get that they did a reboot, just like they do a reboot of everything, or not a reboot, like a sequel thing with it. Oh, everybody's an adult now. It doesn't work. You can't have Full House today, just like you can't have Roseanne today because Roseanne got canceled as soon as the show was announced. But the idea that you could, raise, 3 daughters in the city of San Francisco and have a nice upbringing, that's impossible. Not going to happen. One, you couldn't afford it. Two, it's incredibly dangerous. Your daughters would be murdered or kidnapped or something. I think, what other nice depictions of San Francisco weather? There was a time, back in during the gold rush, San Francisco was a really rough place. It was only later on that it became a nice city, friendly, happy. I think Kaleidostar also took place in San Francisco. That was a very happy little anime back in was it late 90s, early 2000s, right around there. I mean, it seems like right around the early 2000s, that was when San Francisco kind of peaked and started to go downhill. Everything that I hear from people, who had been there, the happy recollections in people's memories seem to stop around then. But anyway, back to the disastrous economy that we have on our hands here. The Fed hasn't even pivoted yet. For those of you unfamiliar with American business cycles and Fed bubbles, we don't even begin the process of forming a bottom until long after the Fed has pivoted. So in other words, we haven't experienced the real crash yet. I get that the federal government is still denying that we're in a recession. That's cute. I guess once the unemployment rate catches up to the inflation rate, then maybe they will admit that we're in a recession. Because the reality is, you have all these jobs in America that have been supported by debt financing, I struggle to say easy money, because it's not exactly the right term. But in the case of these tech companies, it is easy money. These tech companies essentially could print their own money in the form of bonds. They could issue as many bonds as they wanted, and it is the case for a lot of companies, including companies that are far less valuable, that have far less merit than even a company like Meta, which I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. There are untold hundreds of thousands, millions of jobs in this country that are supported artificially by the Fed's policy and the environment, the very loose financial conditions that the Fed created. And so naturally, a tightening in those financial conditions, an increase in the interest rates, means that these companies can borrow less, that they all of a sudden can't roll over debt that they had already accumulated perhaps, and the result is that they can't make payroll. And so they are going to engage in these layoffs. And the 23-year-old product manager at Meta, who does nothing all day but sit on her ass and do her makeup, and then laugh as her pasty manlet boyfriend pretends to be a DJ at dinner. All the while, she spent 8 hours, collecting a paycheck from Meta, doing absolutely nothing. People like that have got to go, and they will go. Now, we've got the news over at Disney. They are not responding well to this new paradigm. They are going back to the well, and they're going to drink more of the poison water. They're going to have more of these arthritic eruptions on their hands, reminiscent of Brawley Oats, because bringing back Bob Iger is not going to do a damn thing. Unfortunately, the board, I agree with Doomcock, the board did not support the vision of Bob Chapek, and I think that given the chance, he would have slashed payrolls, particularly in areas where you have staff who are just hemorrhaging money on projects that will absolutely never turn a profit. I think that Twitter is far from an anomaly. Twitter is a representative of most of what woke capital has created. You have these bloated staffs of useless people who were educated in American universities to fight the white man, and they value that. They looked at it, that is their North Star above making money. And so none of these people are making money. All they can do is spend money. And by firing them, even if they had supposedly some title at the company and they performed some function, all of these companies universally would be better off without them, even if they were replaced with nobody, let alone replacing them with someone competent. But they're doing so much damage by being there. Having no one in that position, if it's a position that needs to exist at all, is preferable to having these people in those positions. That's something that Elon Musk knows over at Twitter. That's why he has just gotten rid of over half the staff, it seems, at this point. Although, thankfully, he brought back Ligma and Johnson, so I'm glad. I was sad to see those guys go. Glad that they're back at work. But Bob Chapek didn't have that opportunity at Disney. He didn't get to purge all of these people. Zuckerberg is not trying to purge any of these people. I mean, he's laying off some folks, but he's not doing it to try and target all of these terrible employees he's put in place who just serve no function. HP, who knows what they're doing? I'm sure that they have thousands of, woke gender officers that they could probably purge if they really wanted to. I doubt that that's what they're doing in this case. But frankly, I mean, does HP even need to exist these days? When's the last time you bought an HP computer? Do companies still use them? I guess HP's taken over a lot of Dell's old business because Dell has transitioned out of doing the whole fleet PC business where they sell, hundreds of units to, corporations or schools or something like that. So who knows? I mean, I don't follow HP. I'm not familiar with their financials and all that. Maybe they've benefited from Dell's pivot out of that market. But then again, Lenovo's, maybe they've taken up some of it. I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I know a damn thing about it. I just try and look out and gauge what's going on in the macro sphere. And it's been clear for a long time that as far as the Fed is concerned, higher employment is the goal. Higher unemployment is on deck. And we are going to see, at some point, the rate of inflation cross the rate of unemployment. It's only a matter of time. It will be interesting to see what level those two metrics cross. Will it be 5%? Will it be 6%? Will it be 8%? I don't know. So, with that said, I've been negligent on keeping an eye on the economy lately. I hope to rectify that. Get back in touch with all this and continue to monitor the collapse of America's very fake economy. So, with that said, I will see you folks back here tomorrow, maybe. It's the day before Thanksgiving. I may not. I might take Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off and come back Saturday, but we'll see.